Not all domestic cats are lucky. People who do not spay or neuter their cats usually abandon their kittens, resulting in a huge surge in the population of feral cats around the world. It might seem trivial, but this population surge contribute to the extinction of entire species of birds, mammalians, and reptiles. This ultimately triggers population control measures, such as those implemented by communities in Australia. Feral cats threaten the survival of more than 100 endemic Australian species. They have caused the extinction of several species of land-dwelling birds and small to medium-sized mammals. They are the main cause of population decline in many rare animals on the mainland, such as the birdie, bandicoots, bitong, and numbat. Many endemic animals are struggling to survive, so the only solution is to kill all feral cats that threaten the balance of the ecosystem. In addition, feral cats can carry infectious diseases that can be transmitted to endemic animals, domestic livestock, and even humans. Feral cats are the same species as domestic cats, but they have adapted well to living and breeding in the wild by hunting or scavenging. They are found on the Australian continent in all habitats, including forests, grasslands, wetlands, and dry area. This map shows the estimated population of feral cats in Australia. The Australian government has announced that the feral cat population in Australia is alarming. They must be eradicated quickly before the extinction of endemic animals spreads. For local communities, controlling feral cats is very challenging because they are shy and tend to live in areas with very low population density within a wide range, making them difficult to find. They are also very conscious. Shooting cats is the most popular method because it requires a lot of manpower and skill. However, animal activities recommend cat traps, while legal traps are only allowed in some areas. Fencing of areas is the most humane measure because it does not injure or kill cats. However, this method is very expensive and requires ongoing security measures, and its consumption must be carefully considered. The most effective form of stray cat population control in large area in poison bed. However, this is a double-edged sword, as poison bait can kill animals other than cats. Feral cats are generally solitary and active at night, spending most of their time in safe places, such as old rabbit holes, logs, or piles of trochy. They are carnivorous, generally eating small mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fish and insects. Depending on availability, these invasive species also hinder the reintroduction of endangered species to areas where they previously live, as cats can quickly kill newly released animals. Many Australian environmentalists argue that feral cats have become an ecological disaster in Australia, inhabiting most ecosystems and causing the extinction of several marsupial and plasmid mammal species. Since 2016, a program has been underway on Kangaroo Island to completely eradicate the feral cats population on the island. which is estimated to grow to between 3,000 and 5,000 by 2030. There is a study that states that some feral cats in Australia have grown so large that some locals claim to have seen 16 of other species such as cougars. Although this is rare, large feral cats are something spots. In 2005, a large cat was shot in the Gippsland area of Victoria. The size of this cat shocked researchers, and they suspect that it was a jaguar or cougar. But subsequent DNA tests showed that it was indeed a wild cat. In 2007, Kay Kessing, a cookbook author in Alice Springs, wrote a recipe for how to make a casserole from cat meat to raise awareness of the problem of feral cats in Australia. Kay quickly received negative response online, including death threats. However, Australians who understood the real issue defended Kay and explained what was actually happening. Some Aborigine communities also consume cat meat as an effort to reduce the local feral cats population.
Cats save energy by sleeping more, especially as they get older. Daily sleep duration varies, usually between 12 and 16 hours. When cats sleep, cats can experience REM or rapid eye movement in a short period amount of time, which is often accompanied by twitching. This indicates they are dreaming. And if they are in deep sleep, the cat's response becomes very low, so they are not affected by the circumstances around them. Cat communication is complex, both between cats and with humans. Cats use various types of communication, including vocal, visual, tactile, and olfactory communication. However, we will not delve into their communication in depth as this knowledge is likely already very common. Instead, let's discuss another unique aspect of cats, such as their obsession with cleanliness, which is directly related to their tongues. For those of you who own cats, you've probably had yourself licked by cats or held cats' tongue directly. And the word that comes to mind is rough. That's because their tongues are covered in tiny barbs, which give them a rough, sandpaper-like feel. These barbs are called papillae, and they're made of keratin, the same basic material that makes their claws. Even on closer inspection, the papillae looked like mini cat claws, perfectly suited for combing their fur. Researchers at Georgia Tech created a 3D model of a cat's tongue to test how it works. See how easily the hairs come off? That's because all the barbs face the same direction.
This makes cats' tongues more effective at grooming the fur. But the question is, why are cats so busy grooming the fur? For cats, neat fur is a source of pride and a sign that they receive affection because their fur helps build bonds. That's why cats that know each other groom each other and very happy when we pet them. Besides being comfortable, this petting process helps distribute the oils produced by the cat skin, which gives the fur a certain amount of waterproofing. For cats, staying neat and clean is a matter of life and death. Cats are carnivorous predators that hunt by ambushing the prey, hiding and sneaking up on them. Just like the skin can make their prey run away. But once they strike, their beak plays a crucial role in finishing the job by biting their prize neck. Cats have mouths that can open very wide. To humans, this is like having a mouth that can open from ear to ear, but having a wide mouth filled with charm that means their lips can't close properly, and they can suck to drink like we do. So, they touch the water with the tip of their tongue to drink. Researchers have once again created a model to study cat drinking behavior using glass. They study how cats drink by simply touching the surface of the water. It turns out that water sticks to the disc if the disc is lifted at direct speed, forming a kind of pillar of water. The cat then beats down on this water pillar at the right moment to get as much water as possible. And all of this happens 4 times per second. Complicated way to drink, but that's the price cats pay for being expert mode catching predators. Besides speed, another factor that makes cats expert mode catcher is the parasite, Toxoplasma gondii, that makes mice fearless. Toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasma gondii is a protozoan parasite that infects most warm-blooded animal species, including humans. The single-celled parasite can infect small animals because Toxoplasma gondii is only extracted in cat feces. Feral and domestic cats are the primary hosts of this parasite. This parasite reproduces only sexually in cats. If this parasite infects humans, it can cause an infection called toxoplasmosis, which can be devastating for both the body and mind. Toxoplasma gondii has a very tough body. Animals such as rats or birds carry this virus through contaminated water, acting as intermediate to host. If the bird or rat is eaten by a cat, the parasite will migrate and settle in the cat's intestines. The parasite will mature and reproduce sexually. Eventually, the cat will pass feces containing more eggs, continuing the parasite cycle. Humans or other intermediate hosts, Toxoplasma gondii can still hatch but only reproduce sexually. This parasite can move freely within the human body, enter the bloodstream, and infect almost all cell types, including immunocells. When the occurs, Toxoplasma gondii can sneak up and attack more specialized tissues, such as muscle and brain cells. Once the parasite enters the human central nervous system, it can hide in kids, seeds, and infect humans for life.
Humans who are infected may not show any symptoms, or if they do, the symptoms may only look like a mild flu. Researchers estimate that more than a third of people worldwide have toxoplasmosis and don't know it. As the human immune system weakens over time, this parasitic disease can cause some of the more severe symptoms. Infected humans may experience muscle weakness, poor coordination, seizures, or permanent damage to the brain and eyes. Scary, right? And if a pregnant woman is infected with this parasite, the unborn baby can be infected. Apart from physical conditions, there is scientific evidence that links Toxoplasma gondii infection with psychological conditions. One study in Denmark looks at the mental health of nearly 46,000 women who had just given birth. Their babies were tested with a screening method to detect inherited immunity or antibodies to Toxoplasma gondii. The researchers then followed up medical and psychiatric information from the mothers for up to 14 years and found that infected women appeared to have a higher risk of depression, anxiety, and self-harm tendencies later in life. Many studies show that Toxoplasma gondii also affects the way several different neurotransmitters work. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that travel between neurons throughout the body, not just in the brain. And when neurotransmitters become unbalanced, this can cause a decline in physical and mental condition. One study of mouse specimens conducted by the University of Leeds in 2011 showed that Toxoplasma gondii infection in brain cells can lead to higher dopamine level because this parasite triggers the production of enzymes that control the creation of dopamine. Dopamine helps regulate the parts of the brain associated with pleasure, which are usually found in the amygdala and nucleus accumbens. And if the brain is flooded with too much dopamine, the psychological impact is like changing thoughts and moods such as psychosis, schizophrenia, and bipolar. Research in 2016 showed that Toxoplasma gondii infection can also disrupt the performance of proteins that transport glutamate, which is usually a stimulus neurotransmitter that makes neurons more easily activated. This will cause a buildup of glutamate in the spaces between neurons throughout the nervous system. This condition is called encytotoxicity, which will stimulate nerve cells to overreact, causing their parts to work too hard and trigger damage. Dysregulations of glutamate can trigger neurodegenerative diseases such as ALS, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. And another study in 2012 found that immune cells hijacked by parasites began to release large amounts of gamma-aminobutyric acid or GABA. GABA is usually an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which means it can keep neurons from being active. When interacting with the amygdala, GABA can help control feelings of fear and anxiety. Well, if too much GABA is released, this can suppress feelings of fear, and this is the cause of how mouse infected with Toxoplasma gondii become bolder towards cats and more often preyed upon. The cat is full, the parasite is also continues its cycle.
Even scientific evidence shows that there's no significant relationship between toxoplasmosis and mental disorders. A study from Duke University took blood samples for more than 800 people to find toxoplasmosis gondii antibody and conduct a survey and another test in order to collect data about their behavior. Around 28% of participants tested positive for parasite antibodies. However, the researchers found no significant association with schizophrenia, depression, or other mental disorders, nor any association with impulsive behavior, such as a crime and recklessness that could lead to accident. Research in this sector is indeed complicated because body structure of animal isn't fully that comparable to human. On the other hand, it is also unethical to conduct experimental studies on humans, such as giving a healthy people toxoplasmosis and monitoring their brain development. Therefore, the definite solution is to always wash your hands and maintain good hygiene if you have a cat. In the past, many cultures held negative superstitions of cats. It seems that black cats, in particular, were often considered unlucky, as if they were bringers of misfortune. The most popular belief was that a black cat crossing the road would bring a bad luck. There is also a belief that if a person is ill and a black cat suddenly lies beside them or on top of their body, it means they will soon die. Another myth claims that black cats are the pets of witches and often help them to perform acts of magic. Because of these beliefs, many black cats were killed in earlier times. According to myths in many cultures, cats are believed to have multiple lives. In many countries, they are said to have 9 lives. However, in Italy, Germany, Greece, Brazil, and several Spanish-speaking regions, cats are believed to have 7 lives. Meanwhile, in Turkey and in Arab traditions, cats are said to have 6 lives. The belief comes from the natural agility and quick reflex cats use to get away from dangerous situations. What also strengthens this myth is the fact that when the cats fall, they almost always land on their feet, using their instinctive reflex to twist their bodies and land on their feet. In Islamic tradition, cats are admired for their cleanliness. They are considered ritually clean and pure. Therefore, they are allowed to enter homes and even mosques, including Masjid al-Haram. Food that has been touched or partially eaten by a cat is considered halal, and water from which a cat has drunk is permissible for performing ablution or wudu. Additionally, there is a belief that cats are naturally drawn to people who are praying.
Addition, there is a belief that cats will approach people who are praying. Cats have been honored in the Middle East since ancient times, a tradition that was adopted by Islam and has been modified into much literature. According to many hadiths, Nabi Muhammad prohibited the abuse and killing of cats. There is a story of companion of Nabi Muhammad known as Abu Hurairah who claimed to have heard Nabi Muhammad state that a woman has thrown into hell because she abused her cat, starving it and not giving it water. There is also a story that tells how the cat belonging to Sa'id al-Khudri saved Nabi Muhammad from venomous snake. Meanwhile, in modern literature, there has been a shift in values regarding black cats. Black cats that were once considered bringers of bad luck are now considered bringers of good luck in some countries. Maybe this discussion is like riding a roller coaster. An animal that most people consider cute still has its wheels instinct preserved and carries parasites that threaten human health. But this is not a reason to abandon your cat, because even though they can be indifferent at times, their affectionate behavior brings happiness and warm hugs for free. There are so many positive psychological impacts if you decide to adopt this cute animal into your home. But be careful when handling its feces. Make sure the feces do not enter your mouth, and make sure they do not associate with stray cats as well as protected animals and birds, especially your neighbor's songbirds, and ensure your food is properly cooked so that you do not accidentally consume parasite eggs from a cat that seems aloof. We can learn many things from cats. Cats can teach us about self respect, life motivation, as well as health and well being. They may be believed to have 9 lives, but we all know they only have one. Yet, even so, they know how to live life to the fullest with the one life they have. This is because cats live in the present. Cats do not worry about the future and are not haunted by the past. So, live like a cat.